The saga now reaches a level of intensity that feels cinematic in scope, the kind of unfolding drama where every gesture, every word, and every decision is amplified under the relentless scrutiny of an audience conditioned to dissect nuance and demand accountability. And Jesse Waters seizes this moment to pull back the curtain, narrating not just the sequence of events, but the intricate psychology behind each move of the sheriff's team, revealing how leadership under pressure is as much about reading people as it is about executing procedures. He paints a picture of a command center alive with tension, where advisors whisper over timelines, communications staff agonize over phrasing, and the sheriff weighs every statement against the twin imperatives of transparency and authority, understanding that each decision will be analyzed, replayed, and remembered long after the cameras have moved on. In this part of the narrative, the stakes are elevated because the audience is no longer passive. They are active participants in a layered drama, interpreting gestures, evaluating tone, and judging intent. And Waters emphasizes that this shift transforms every briefing into a performance where credibility is earned not through the absence of error, but through visible resilience. A minor hesitation, a delayed answer, a misaligned sentence, all are magnified and interpreted as signals of either weakness or caution, and the sheriff's team must navigate these invisible currents as carefully as they manage operational realities, because in the court of public perception, optics can outweigh even the most careful planning. Waters then examines the interplay between early missteps and strategic recovery, illustrating how the initial critique of not off to a great start evolves into a persistent benchmark, a lens through which all subsequent actions are measured, and he suggests that the true test of leadership is not avoiding errors, but demonstrating an ability to absorb pressure, correct course, and reinforce competence under relentless observation. In other words, the narrative of a faltering start is not an endpoint, but a stage upon which skill, judgment, and discipline are revealed. Behind the scenes, the sheriff's team has evidently learned that messaging is not ancillary. It is integral to every operational decision, and Waters highlights the human dimension in this equation, showing how instinct, judgment, and emotional intelligence are deployed in tandem with procedure because a confident, composed presence often conveys more authority than formal statements alone. Every carefully orchestrated press briefing, every visible adjustment in tone or body language, every acknowledgement of ambiguity is part of a deliberate strategy to re-establish trust. And in the modern media environment, these subtleties are observed with relentless intensity, creating a feedback loop that continuously shapes perception. At the same time, Waters expands the lens to the community's response, showing how initial skepticism gradually shifts into cautious observation as evidence of disciplined follow-through accumulates, and he emphasizes that this evolution of trust is neither automatic nor guaranteed. It must be earned through a combination of transparent communication, consistent leadership, and demonstrable competence, and each subsequent public interaction contributes incrementally to either restoring confidence or reopening the narrative of doubt, a delicate balance that demands sustained attention and strategic foresight. The media ecosystem itself becomes a secondary player in this ongoing drama, amplifying scrutiny, replaying past mistakes, and forcing institutions to anticipate questions before they are asked, to measure every phrase for tone and implication, and to project calm authority even when information is incomplete. Waters analyzes this dynamic with precision, showing how televised critique functions simultaneously as a mirror, reflecting missteps back to the institution, and as a catalyst, compelling adjustment and refinement, and how the sheriff's team must navigate this dual role while maintaining operational focus and public credibility. Finally, the narrative arrives at a reflective and analytical conclusion, where Waters underscores that a not great start is never destiny, that early missteps, while memorable, can be transformed into opportunities for growth, refinement, and eventual restoration of trust. The cameras may fade, the headlines may move on, but the lessons endure. Leadership is measured not by initial impressions, but by the capacity to adapt under scrutiny, to communicate with clarity and candor, and to sustain credibility over time. And for the audience watching, the invitation is clear: to engage, to analyze, to reflect, and to witness how institutions evolve in real time, under the unforgiving gaze of public expectation, a story of challenge, response, and resilience that continues to unfold long after the first critique echoed across the nation.